Greetings to the excellent Doctor of Ministry students here at Regent University. This is your instructor welcoming you to another week of our 897 experience. This is, of course, week 7, which is kind of in the middle of module 3. So this is such a very, very important module. As you know, it's all about the BTH Foundation. I've put a couple of BTH Foundation's documents, sample documents from my fall class in course resources for your, if visualizing something helps you, then that might be helpful. I will always make sure you have samples, even of the proposal, the final proposal, etc., as we go forward, so you can at least get a sense of what it could look like, although yours will be unique, of course. In terms of our review from week 5, we had the summary of the literature draft. We had the summary of the literature revised. That means you sent me your original draft. And I read it in detail. I pored over it, gave you some detailed feedback, some of which are just those pesky, formatting issues, which are going to become increasingly important. As you well know, your dissertation in the end has to be perfect, and that means that Dr. Flynn, members of your committee, etc., will notice if the left margin is ragged, if the indents are ragged, etc., and they're going to look and say, okay, what's going on? Why doesn't he know how to use Microsoft Word or whatever it might be? So I'm a little bit picky, but I'm picky because I'm committed to your success. And so my hope is that it will not frustrate you, but simply guide you toward the finish line. Once I have a look at your second submission to me by way of email, then I will tweak it a little bit. If it's something real simple, I may just adjust it myself and let you know that I have done so. And then send it back to you. That will be your final summary of the literature document. Again, my goal is for you to have a finished product. So in the end, all you have to do is come into that document, copy it, and paste it into the template, and you're ready to go. The template automatically deals with a lot of the formatting issues for you. It's possible to undo that in the template when we get down to, well, I'm not going to say a lot about the template yet, because that will be a big theme for us in our next Zoom meeting. So you're preparing to write the dissertation. I find that most of our students really have done very, very good research. I find that our students are good writers. In terms of academic writing, really quite good. So when it comes to the technical issues involved with writing a dissertation, they tend to be other than the quality of your research or the quality of your writing. So there's no question that you have the need, and my suggestion is that 897 is the place for you to practice this, to review it, to look at it. You will need to master, of course, Turabian 9th edition, and you will need to master Microsoft Word. The problem with Word is that all the default settings are wrong. So you have to turn off all the default settings and go in and do the settings that will work for a dissertation. It's not hard. And I've given you tutorials in a folder for you to very quickly review that. You'll need to master Grammarly, because there's no question that your chair and ultimately the members of your committee will call up your document, turn on Grammarly, and see whether or not you made adequate use of it. And so you will need to master Grammarly. I've given you actually folders of resources in all 3 of these areas. So the task of composing your proposal is really an opportunity to review some of this as well, so that you will be confident going forward that you have the skills needed to compose a very good, readable, not only a proposal, but ultimately your dissertation, one that reads well, flows well, etc., as well as representing very, very good research, which I know it will do. And so this is your opportunity to review some of that stuff. In terms of module 3, you remember week 6, which was last week, was another opportunity to organize your research notes. This time you are doing it in a very simple kind of way. So you don't have to wonder about, okay, what would be a logical way of organizing my notes from the scholarly literature? And by the way, what is scholarly literature? You won't have to worry about that in this process. So you will organize them, and then in week 7, which is coming up, you will specifically propose an outline, whether it be a literature map or just a standard outline. You will propose an outline. The easy thing for you is the main headings are already provided. It's the biblical foundation, the theological foundation, the historical foundation. Your task then is to think about the very best way to represent those 3 areas. You know, I mentioned with an earlier presentation, an earlier video, that these 3 areas that are what the MDiv degree is all about are 3 different disciplines involving 3 different, skill sets. And so your chapter 3 even will come up, and that will be an enlargement of what you're doing. We're just looking for an introduction. We want you to show us that you know this stuff, these 3 areas. And so you will organize your notes, but your outline should not only reflect these major headings, but they'll reflect some of your thoughts. What have you concluded in terms of the best way to present under these 3 headings material that will provide background research for your project? And so that's going to be your task coming up in week 7. And then of course, week 8, you will actually then, with your outline in front of you, compose the actual, what we call the BTH foundation section of your proposal. And I will handle it the same way. You will post it. I will give you credit. I'll mark it as complete. And then we'll begin to work on it together until you have a final document that you can simply copy and paste into your template at the end. And so I'm convinced, of course, that you're going to do a great work. I appreciate your diligence. I appreciate your patience. I certainly would want you to go forward in a relaxed, kind of a mindset, with a confidence that you wouldn't have made it this far if you couldn't do this stuff. And so I want you to be confident in your ability to succeed. I'm confident in your ability to succeed. And that's where we are at, of course, in module 3. Your week 7 assignment is to, of course, then finalize the BTH notes from your research and notes, outline them, however you outline them in some kind of a meaningful way, and then post your outline to your group. And it's a discussion forum, which means that it's not specifically a peer review opportunity, which only happens when you're composing a final a piece, and this will be the last one actually. Post your outline with a brief explanation in the discussion forum. I'll jump in and say a little something about it, but not a lot. In the end, it's how you unpack it that will count. But this outline, a project, this experience gives you the opportunity to decide how you feel the best way to present under these 3 headings will work for you going forward, planning your project and your research. We're building a solid foundation, aren't we? And for us as seminary students, that means we're building a solid foundation in those 3 areas of biblical studies and Christian theology, which of course includes pastoral and practical theology. It includes church history, your ability to unpack both a story from the ancient church as well as one more recent. And, I hope you would find a story from your own tradition that would set the stage for your research as well. So this is a very, very important part of what we're doing in our process. I'm going to stick with you every step along the way. I view myself as your partner in this process, and I'm very excited about your research and about how that's going to end up resulting in a great project. So God bless you, everybody. Please, as always, let me know if you have a question. I am here for you. We'll continue to finalize your work on the summary of the literature section of the proposal until we together are confident, this is great stuff. You're ready to go. So just have a great week, everyone.